Being able to manage an Airbnb remotely is super important. So let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. In this video, you're gonna learn what you're gonna need to manage remotely, and then a little bit about my journey, of course. And also we got some Prosecco. Being able to manage Almost Heaven, my cabin in Murphy, North Carolina, is really crucial because I actually live 1,000 miles away. Just look at the background. We're talking Florida, 1,000 miles away. So I can't just pop in. If the batteries die on the smart lock for guests to be able to get in, I can't just pop in if my cleaner is not feeling well and has a fever and needs somebody else to clean the cabin after somebody checks out. So it's really important to have a team, especially the cleaner is your number one. And then after that is going to be your handyman, because of course things are going to break. You're literally owning a home, most likely, unless you're one of these glam people. If you'd like to learn more about why a cleaner is so important, go ahead and watch the link down here in the description. And while you're at it, go ahead and like and subscribe for me. Let's talk about a couple of key components that you're going to need while you're managing over 1,000 miles away. Number one is going to be smart locks. So if you've never heard of this, it's when you go up to a door, instead of actually using like a hard key, you're going to be using like a little touch pin. And I highly recommend one where you can get an app on your phone and you can actually change the door code, because you don't want the same door code as someone else. You don't want the same door code as someone else. Yes, that's another story. A link down below, same one. Okay, but really, what's really important? Being able to change your lock code is super important in between guests. That way nobody can come back and something bad might happen. Also important, I think, to have a security camera. You need to be able to see if when guests are checking in. It's been really helpful for us. We've only been open a very short time, about 5 months now. And I've actually gotten on the camera a few times and talked to the guests and walk them through how to use the smart lock on the door. Which, yes, I give it in the instructions, but you know, people are busy. They don't have time to read instructions all the time. So it's been really helpful. And thirdly, it's really important to have pricing tools and then property management software. Because if you are trying to do this as actually like a job, or like so that you want to make income to pay off your mortgage, you want to be on multiple streams like Airbnb, Booking.com, and Vrbo, because then you get on a property management software and you can link them all together, and then nobody accidentally double books, because that would be the worst thing ever, because getting cancellations hurts you in the algorithm of all of those sites. Now let's go through and talk about each one in depth on why they are important and what I personally have found in the journey to be the best after the research that I did. Okay, so the number one, having a smart lock as your door entry instead of an old-fashioned hard key. So this is important for a couple of reasons. Let's start with the innocent reasons first. Someone could just accidentally take it with them. Like they put on their keychain, they forget to take it off, and then your next guest has no way of checking in. Or what about if they make a copy and they then come back to rob your place later because they love your bohemian style cabin? That might happen. Or what if they even have worse intentions, where they make a copy and then they come back later and then they hurt the person who's there? Like, please do not use a hard key. And something else that would be innocent, it's like, what if they actually lock themselves out? They left the key in the house because they're trying to be a good guest and not take it with them on their keychain. Then they realize they forgot their wallet or their cell phone back in the house as they're checking out. They've already locked the doors and now nobody can get in, so they have to wait for you or your cleaner or your boots on ground person to come over there and help them. That's really inconvenient. So after a bunch of research, I found that personally, I really liked the two brands Slage and Yale. And the reason that I liked these is because they have a touchscreen that lights up. So it's not like an actual button that you're pressing in. And that means that the code will never wear off. Because if you have that push-in button, one, you can tell over time which buttons have been pushed because the keys get worn down. But two, you can't change your code as often. So it's just a lot harder. And then the Slage and the Yale, which I ended up going with Yale, you can also do from your cell phone. So you can change it with an app on your phone every time somebody checks out and checks back in. It's easy peasy. What happens if they accidentally lock themselves out? Like, you can just click a button in the app and it's like door unlock, so they can unlock the door. So it's really, really cool. And then there's a couple other smart locks out there, but the final reason that I chose to go with Yale is because they have a hard key that does indeed come with it. So worst case scenario, the batteries die in your smart lock because you forgot to change the batteries quarterly to keep up with just being a good property manager. But now you have a backup key, and I have a backup key in a lockbox that I do not give the code out to at all because I don't want anyone to make it unless it's an absolute emergency. And then if the guest has that one because it's an emergency, I have a backup to the backup hidden somewhere else at the property. So lots of backups. Always have backups to make your life easier. Okay, number 2, really important to have, is a security camera at your front door, maybe at your back door too if you're worried about intruders. But really we put it on so that we could see when the guest was coming to make sure that they got in okay, and then also so that no one like steals all of our stuff that's in. But after doing a lot of research, I am personally not a fan of the Ring camera. It doesn't have good video and it doesn't pick up on a lot of things. The battery life, if I can recall, was pretty good, but ultimately after looking at like 6 different security cameras that go outside, I came down to 2. Google Nest was pretty good. It had really good night and daytime vision. I think it was superior in the night vision, which was cool because a lot of people get in late. That's why they want Airbnb. And the Eufy camera, which is a solar camera, EUFY, Eufy is how I pronounce it. Don't know if that's right. Both were pretty good. What it came down to is I didn't want to pay a subscription every month just to have my camera. And I love the idea that I could put my camera in the sunlight so that I didn't have to worry about the batteries dying and that my cleaner had to remember to change the batteries on me, especially because winters come into the mountains and it gets pretty cold and it kills battery life really fast. I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna tell you my honest opinion. It's been awesome. I've been able to see everybody come and go. Sometimes I even see like my neighbors walking by because their little dog comes over to the yard, and it's pretty funny. But important side note is that we actually caught an intruder on our cabin using our security camera, which we would have never known, and a guest was checking in the next day. That is part of the video down below. I highly recommend you to watch it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, it was helpful when there was this guest that couldn't check in. He kept trying to use the lockbox where we had the hard key instead of trying to use the actual door code mechanism. That's how you open the door. So I was able just to log right on, talk to him, help walk him through it, and that helped with with the guest experience so that it wasn't so long and dragged out and he was cold because it was in the middle of winter. And also it has a floodlight that comes on when it senses motion, so it helps people be able to make it up the stairs without tripping. It's been really great. I highly recommend it. And now we're coming to the third thing that's pretty important when you're doing this so far away, and really if you're close to, this is important, having a property management software. Let's use PMS for short, because we all should have PMS. Okay, seriously though, a couple that I did research on, I did like several, but just I thought some of the best ones was Lodgify and Guesty for hosts. I personally ultimately went with Guesty because the price was affordable for just having one cabin, and it also has a website builder in it, because I don't believe that you should put all of your eggs in one basket. So yeah, like Airbnb and Vrbo is great, but like what if they raise their prices? What if they raise their service fees? What if they just go out of business and then you have nothing? So it'd be really awesome to get your guests to start with Airbnb and Vrbo, but then make your own website so that you can have that information there in your cabin, so when they come back, because the goal is to have these people come back. PMSs are important as well for not double booking yourself, because you can link all three, like Booking.com, Vrbo, and Airbnb, to the same website, and then while you're sleeping or you're enjoying Prosecco on your balcony with your loved ones, or you're just like, you know, at work because you have to work 9 to 5, no one is going to double book your site, because that's just going to lead to cancellations, frustrated guests, and nobody ever wanting to come back, and that is no good. Remember, what would you want? That's the goal here. And then also it's important because you can send automated messages Like for example, we have one go out as soon as somebody like reserves the cabin. That way you're able to, like, they know, like, we got it, everything's good to go, they booked it, everything's fine. We also have one going out when we have our trash boy. Shout out to Troy. He comes around on Tuesdays, picks up our trash. So we have one go out Sunday night or Monday night so that the guest isn't nervous when there's like somebody snooping around the trash can in the morning. It's also helpful to send automated, like, hey, thanks for staying. Please give us a 5-star review, because your reviews is what really drives your business. And there's tons of details that you could add in. We also have all of our check-in instructions on like how to use the smart code lock when you get there and what your code's going to be, and all of that's automated. So it makes your life, when you still have to work 9 to 5, very convenient and very helpful. I highly recommend. It is worth $50 a month. It is so worth it because you make that money back being able to manage all 3 in a very easy, convenient way. The 4th thing that's going to really help you is going to be a pricing software. This is really cool because you can link all the platforms also onto the same pricing software, so you have the same price everywhere. Personally, we use Price Labs. I did some research on a bunch of other ones. I don't remember it being very great compared to Price Labs. A lot of other people I was watching on Airbnb, like Rob Built, Kai Andrews, and this guy named Sean, like, that's what they were using, and it was working really well for them. So totally into it. I only give it big thumbs up. Now, kind of how it works is you set your lowest price and you set a high price, which you just put it, super high, so it can go as high as it wants. But the algorithm in this pricing software knows when it's the slow season in your area, because it pulls the occupancy and it also pulls the nightly rate for all the cabins that are around, like in your zip code, and it creates a price for you. Been really helpful, because when I didn't think we were getting really high money for our bookings, then we actually did. And it was cool because it was like $130 a night, and I would have never priced our cabin at that. Whereas if you just left it at a set price, you're actually going to be losing money and leaving some money on the table. So you don't get to pay your mortgage off as fast. And that's not the goal. You want to pay your mortgage off fast, so get it, girl.